Hey, what's good, Joe? It's Who Am I TV, and welcome to the first episode of the Creative Believers podcast. In this episode, I kind of just wanted to talk about what this podcast will be about. What are some things you can grab from this podcast? Is this podcast for you? Are you going to continue to listen? We're going to get into all of that, right? So as a music artist, I have one goal. That's it. And that's to become a successful independent music artist. What does that mean? So let me define what that means for you guys. I want to be financially sufficient off of only music, meaning a music entrepreneur. But I also want to maintain my integrity, right? And that's what the independence is for. I don't want to sign a record deal. I want to be able to grow my brand while also keeping my message positive, which is create yourself so the world doesn't. Because I believe the more you know about yourself, the better equipped you are to create whatever life that you see in your head in your real life, right? And so in this podcast, I'm going to take you through my journey of creating myself so that the world doesn't through music. Some of the things that I'm going to go over in this podcast are, my day-to-day operations of throwing events, making music, linking with other artists. I want to go over how I deal with the mental stress and gain mental clarity to create content consistently, to consistently throw events, to consistently connect, collab, and create. Shout out to Philly Create. I also want to go over some of the business moves that I'm making as far as like what I'm doing with advertisement, what I'm doing with brand partnerships, how I'm able to, put together these large scale events or these large scale projects or create content in a consistent clip. I want this to be, a lot of my story and what I'm doing, but I also want you to take some things away from it that you can apply to it. So, there's going to be some motivation in here. There's going to be some applicable steps if you're an artist. Also, if you're just someone who supports me as a musician, there's going to be updates on a regular basis about, my daily operations and what goes into making the music that you love, the events that you love, and things of that nature. So now that we got the introduction out of the way, this first episode is going to be about Art and Social 3. So if you don't know what that is, Art and Social is an event series that I started. It mixes open mic with deep conversation. So pretty much it's an open mic event. We open the mic up to the dopest artists in the city, whether you're just starting out, whether you've never performed, or whether you've been around the city for a decade performing. This is a place where if you have a message, if you have a positive vibe and a positive message that you want to get out to the people, we will provide the platform for you guys to be able to do that. So this is the third Art and Social that we've thrown. Honestly, it might be like the fifth or sixth, but I just started counting once I graduated. So from the time I started counting, this is the third Art and Social. And honestly, this Art and Social was my favorite one. And I'm gonna get into why in a little bit. But I do have a list of things that I want to talk about. So the first thing that I have on my list to talk about is the anxiety leading up to the event, right? So I'm an introverted guy, man. For all the stuff that I do, all the music that I put out, how vulnerable I am on the internet, all the events that I throw, a lot of people think that I'm just this outgoing personality or someone who is able to, just overcome their fears easily. And that can't be farthest from the truth. So all my close friends will tell you, I call them almost every day stressing like, yo, what if this doesn't work out? What if that doesn't work out? And in my mind, I'm always thinking like, am I prepared for this moment? Am I prepared to be a leader? Do my shortcomings, right, in real life, in my personal life, because I'm a spiritual man and I like to live, a life in alignment with who I believe God created me to be. And I fall short of that on a regular basis. And, that brings guilt, and that makes me sometimes feel like I can't do the things that I'm doing currently. So after the last Art and Social, literally for the whole month, because this is a monthly event, I was just feeling like, yo, man, can I really do this next one? Like the first one is easy to do because it's a new event, but can I pull it off again consistently? So that was the anxiety. And leading up to the event, I had a moment where I was like, yo, maybe I shouldn't be doing events. Maybe I should, cancel the events and do more like music, or telling myself whatever. I call it the logical excuse. As artists, we have an enemy called the logical excuse, and it lives in our brain. And if we're scared of something, it'll give you a logical reason not to engage in the thing that will get you to the next level. I was dealing with anxiety leading up to the event. And a few days before the event, I got a text message from the venue telling me that, hey Chad, we're sorry to inform you that we cannot host the event this Friday, but we do have some replacement venues for you. So let me backtrack. I was anxious about the event because I wasn't sure I was going to be able to sell a decent amount of tickets to make it enjoyable. Because the first one, there's a lot of tickets sold, and it's just always hard to follow that up in my mind. So I was a little anxious, like, am I going to be able to pull this off? And then on top of that, I get a text message that says, and we have to change the location for the venue, right? That's a little bit about why I was anxious. I have, some confidence things to work out, as I feel we all do. Like, I'm not going to front about it, as well as some last minute switch ups. But here's how I got over it. So I definitely want to let you guys know exactly how I got over it. One thing is, I went to a concert the night before my event. So TLA, I live in the Jersey, Philly area. So Theater of Living Arts had one of my favorite artists of all time, Saba, at the TLA, and I had these tickets for months. And just going to that concert really showed me, this is a place that you can be in. You have the talent. I'm talking to myself. I had the talent. I have the work ethic. I have the vision. The only thing that can stop me is me. And I'm looking at someone on stage who is one of my favorite artists who didn't allow themselves to get in their way. And so going to that event the night before, it really gave me a little bit more confidence because I saw things that I felt like I can pull off as well. But the thing that really helped me a lot was going and talking to my family. So I went and visited my sister. Quick story, I met my niece for the first time, Love. If you're watching this in like 5-10 years, I loved you immediately upon seeing you. But my parents were there, and I was talking to my dad about the situation, and he told me this. He says, yo, it's crazy because that's how God works. Whenever there's a setback, he's really preparing you for a setup. He was like, the best thing that you can do is just be vulnerable through the situation and just be honest and let people know exactly what's going on. So at that moment, I decided it is what it is. I'm throwing this event. It's going to be what it's going to be. There's no point in stressing about it. So at that point, I kind of just relieved all the stress. And I was like, yo, we're going into it and we're going to give it 100%, and whatever happens, happens. Let's take a break from the mental stuff because I want to talk about some of the business things, right? Just in case you're out there and you're creative and you also want to throw events, right? What are some of the things I did to fill the room? What were some of the things I did to do the messaging? So I'm going to break a few things down for you guys. The one thing I do immediately is I form partnerships with venues, right? Because I understand venues need money to keep their event space open. And I need a venue at a realistic price so that I can throw these events and not go into debt, right? So what I do is I pay venues for like 4 dates in advance, 3 to 4 dates in advance. So I give them half up front for 4 dates and they can give me a decent price on it. So I'm at one venue. It's like a contract. So I do 4 events at one venue. Once I get the venue locked in, I just make some marketing videos, and in my videos, I just explain what the event is, man. I explain who I want to come to the event, who this event is for, and I just allow the audience to decide if this is something that they want to do. And I just push these ads through Instagram, through Facebook to let people know, as well as just be in the city. I go to people's events. I go to studios. I'm an artist myself, so I rub shoulders with artists, and I really just market the event every time I see people. So those are some of the things that I do in order to market the event. And if you guys want to know more about like the actual business of it, let me know. I'll do another podcast where I kind of, maybe a video where I take you guys behind the scenes on the ad stuff and, just some of the messaging. But let's get back into the mentality, right? My epiphany. So my third point I want to make is I had an epiphany, right, during this event. And the first epiphany is you have to let go of your ego in order to serve, in order to walk in your purpose, in order to experience flow state, in order to understand you at your fullest potential. Because when I was afraid to throw the event, the reason why I was really afraid to throw the event is because I felt like people would look at me a certain way if I didn't fill the seats. Like, oh, this guy sucks. His events suck. But I had to realize, like, none of this is about me. All of these events are about, a part of it. Now, let me not be superficial. I do want my music to be heard. I do want to grow supporters around my brand. That is why I throw these events. Like, I'm not going to sit here and tell y'all I do it 100% for other people. I need a platform to express because music is my expression. However, there are other artists who are coming to perform who otherwise wouldn't have a platform to really do what they could do. There are people in the room who need to hear your message as an artist, who needed to hear my message as an artist. And no matter if it was 2 or 200 people in that room, those people needed to hear what I had to say. For me, just being worried about my public perception and how people looked at me, it would have blocked a major blessing for somebody else. And there are those blessings. Like, I'm getting the messages after the event of people who are positively impacted by the night, right? And so that was one epiphany I had to have, which is like, let go of your ego, bro. It's not about you. The second epiphany I had is being vulnerable is one of the best things you can do as a person, but also as a brand, because, man, people don't want to be lied to. They're tired of corporate America. They're tired of being sold on things. They're tired of being manipulated to buy things. Look, guys, I let them know, look, guys, this is my goal. This is my vision. This is what I want to do. This is really coming from the heart. If this is for you, this is for you. If it's not, it's not. And I let them know my highs and my lows. I hopped on Instagram and I told them, yo, guys, I'm really anxious about this event, but I'm going to throw it for you guys. And me being vulnerable in that space, it really created opportunities for other people who are also feeling anxious to step up and say, okay, well, if he can do it, I can do it. And that's one of the main things I try to get across with my brand is like, yo, I'm no different than anyone else. I promise you. I always say, like, yo, I'm a regular nigga. I say that all the time. Yes, I'm faithful. Yes, I've been blessed with certain things, but I'm a regular nigga. I be scared. I go through high anxiety. I just know that I have a purpose, man. And I know that I was designed to do this music stuff, right? So if I'm just honest and true with my story, other people who can sympathize with that, and they may not even be music artists. They could just be, everybody goes through the same things. We're all humans. So if you're just honest and vulnerable, people just like that. They like reality, right? So those were my two epiphanies. And I also, what made this event really dope is that I asked for help. So like, I had a co-host this time. I had a project manager this time. I had spotlight artist. I had an audio guy. I had a band. Whereas before, I just think in my head I can do it all, especially as a multifaceted artist. Like, I can truly run sound. I can truly host. I can do all of these things. But what is the thing that's going to bring you the most impactful results? And that's the question I ask myself. And I have to delegate. And in delegating, I have to understand, this is the main thing I learned about delegating is like, if you bring someone onto a project, you have to trust that person to be able to bring it to life. Like, I'm not going to delegate a task to you and then micromanage you. I brought you on because I believe that you can bring it to life. So everyone who worked with me on this event, they had their own part of the event that they had to bring to life, and they all killed it because I trusted them, believed in them, and I knew they can bring it to life. So asking for help is another major point in this creative believer's journey of me becoming an indie artist. Now let's get into the event itself. The event itself was dope. There was many dope performers, man. So many new faces that I never seen. So many old friends that came back and really put on for, their artistry. Even the spotlight artists, like, I love the local talent in this area, man. I think we have some of the densest, just deepest talent that this area could see. So the event itself was a great space for not only entertainers, not only and painters, but the crowd and the audience got to participate in almost a performance because we were asking questions throughout the event. People were able to join in on the conversation throughout the event. So I think the event was a major success, and I cannot wait for, the next one. So that's the podcast, guys. I'm going to kind of develop this as it goes and maybe go deeper into some topics based on what you guys, like. But that's pretty much the gist of what I wanted to talk about, which is, the process of overcoming my anxiety, reaching out to different people, being able to lean on my loved ones, understanding that, this whole purpose thing is not about me. It's not about getting famous. It's not about, anything of that nature. It's really about just helping your community. It's about helping your community. It's about how can you play a role in the betterment of society as a whole. And that's what takes my business to the next level. That's what personally makes me feel more confident to go out into the world. And, I'm just hoping that my story can inspire you to be a creative believer, really believe in yourself and know that you can create anything from your mind and manifest it. So it's whoamI.tv.tv. I will catch you guys on the next episode of Creative Believers Podcast. Peace.